Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. Thank you for today's hearing and the Forest Service budget request. Chief Moore, welcome back to the committee. Glad to have you here today. We're looking forward to hearing how the proposed budget intends to further the critical mission of the agency. I'm pleased with some of your priorities within the budget request. For example, there's funding to protect our forests from catastrophic fire, as the chairman just said, providing badly needed pay increases to our brave firefighters. We have a number of them here with us today. I also do have some significant concerns. In the last 2 years, Congress has provided over $10 billion additional dollars to the Forest Service. The budget proposes massive increases in new spending. Your request for $7.4 billion in discretionary appropriations would amount to a 52% increase over current funding levels. In an era of historic budget deficits, the Forest Service, I think, really needs to prioritize. To be clear, the Forest Service faces enormous challenges in the fight against wildfires. 1/3 of our national forests are at serious risk to being consumed by catastrophic fires. There's broad agreement among members of this committee, both sides of the aisle, that the historic forest fire treatment levels are historically and totally inadequate to meet the challenge. While I support robust funding for the efforts, I'm not convinced that we can simply just spend our way out of problems that have plagued the forest for decades. The Forest Service needs to fully embrace efforts to streamline its processes for approving projects that improve forest health. The agency needs to more aggressively defend against harmful litigation that prevents projects from moving forward. Far too often, when extreme environmental groups sue, vital wildfire reduction projects get tied up in the court and don't get accomplished. I'm also deeply troubled by what appears to be the intentional exclusion of Wyoming from major Forest Service initiatives aimed at reducing wildfire risk. In its 10-year strategy to combat the wildfire crisis, the agency has announced significant spending across 21 designated areas. These dollars fund projects that are critical for reducing wildfire risk and defending America's forests. They're going to protect people's lives and livelihoods. Inexplicably, Wyoming is the only state located on or west of the Rocky Mountains that has not received funding under this strategy. The only state of all of those. Further, Wyoming is the only western state to be excluded from the Wildland Fire Mitigation and Management Commission. This is a commission created by Congress to help improve strategies to prevent, to manage, to suppress, and to recover from wildfires. That's why in March of last year, I, along with the rest of the Wyoming delegation, sent a letter specifically requesting that Wyoming be represented on the commission. Here we are a year later. Wyoming is still not represented. This is a pattern of neglect and simply must change. Much like other western states, Wyoming is highly vulnerable to wildfires. According to the Forest Service estimates, more than 4 million acres of Wyoming forests are at either high or very high risk to catastrophic wildfires. And we've seen the tragic results of the failure to properly manage these acres. In 4 of the past 5 years, Wyoming has been hit by numerous destructive fires. In 2020 alone, we experienced nearly 340,000 burned acres. Now, that's a land larger than 1/3 of the entire state of the President's home state of Delaware. We're talking about a large area of land. Today, our communities remain in harm's way. According to the Forest Service website, wildfirerisk.org, towns in Wyoming like DuBois, Jackson, Buffalo, Lander, and Saratoga are all at high risk to destructive wildfires. So I believe the people of Wyoming deserve better protection. And at the very least, they deserve the same protections that every other western state is getting. Thanks so much, Madam Chairman. I look forward to the questioning and hearings today.